is doing great today. I have today off of work, so I have some time to sit down and make a video, which is exciting. I think I uploaded like, I don't know, 2 weeks ago, so not that far in between. But anyway, we are here with another tier list video. I enjoy making these videos because I can kind of just ramble about music, and what better band to ramble about than Pantera, a controversial band, one of the all-time greatest metal bands, one of the bands that I kind of like to use them as a gateway drug into metal, and especially the harder stuff. And I know that Pantera has a lot of meaning for me because I haven't always been a metalhead, right? I made a really shitty video about, I don't know, maybe a year ago, a few months ago, I don't remember, about my top 5 like favorite non-metal albums, and I do listen to a lot of non-metal music, but these guys really cemented my love for metal music as a whole, and they really got me into the harder part of the scene, right? Because it's no secret that Metallica is my favorite metal band, and they can be seen as hard rock or metal depending on the album that we're talking about, right? And a lot of people will put Metallica as hard rock compared to guys like Pantera, but Pantera really brought me into the metal scene. As you can see, we have, for some reason, duplicates of all the albums, but we also have all of their glam metal albums, and I don't know if this is disappointing or not, but I actually have not listened to any of the glam metal albums except for Metal Magic. Just put all of them down there. And I guess I can talk about Metal Magic briefly because I've only ever listened to it briefly. And, I mean, listen, when we're talking about Pantera, we're not talking about glam metal Pantera, right? Like, I think whenever you hear Pantera, your first thought isn't, oh, Diamond Daryl. It's Dimebag Daryl, right? Because Diamond Daryl was his nickname before they switched to the harder style of metal. Groove metal, as a lot of people like to call it. So, I'm going to put all of these into the same category, and I'm not going to rank them. But I will say Metal Magic is okay for what it is. I don't listen to a lot of glam metal, it's not really my thing. But for what it was pretty cool. And from my understanding, Dimebag and Vinnie Paul were both very young at the time of recording. I think I saw like one was 16 and one was 19. And to be playing at that level is pretty incredible at that age. I can't play for shit, and I'm a bit older than that, so it's, for what it is, it's a good album, I think. Some of the riffs are cool, the solos are cool, pretty generic vocals and themes for glam metal, like Ride My Rocket. God, I wonder what that means. I wonder what the main focal point of glam metal was. Definitely not sex and drugs or anything. So my throat is a little dry, so you guys will hear me take a couple sips of my drink here. And I don't know what this album is. It looks like it's just like a compilation album. So anyway, let's get into the meat and potatoes of the tier list. So we have Cowboys from Hell. We have Display of Power, we have Far Beyond Driven, we have The Great Southern Trendkill, and we have Goddamn Electric. So 5 albums here, not much to rate, but we'll probably spend most of our time talking about these 2 albums, and I'm going to go in chronological order. So, Cowboys from Hell. I am going to put this in the A tier, okay? And I really, really enjoy this album because they were still kind of toying with their old glam metal roots while also going instrumentally to the hard stuff, right? Because Phil Anselmo still really hits those high notes that you hear in glam metal, shouting, and some of the vocals really do resemble stuff that you would hear on Metal Magic or other glam metal albums. I actually don't know if Phil Anselmo was the vocalist on these other albums. That's something that I would have to look into, but it's kind of like Pantera is in the middle of a Venn diagram, right? And on the left you have glam metal, and on the right you have groove metal, death metal, whatever, really hard shit. And they're right in the middle, because it's definitely not their hardest stuff, but it is a really interesting mix, and I really like it. So if you have a friend that's not really into metal and you want to get them into Pantera, I honestly would show them this album over Vulgar Display of Power, because this album is can be a starting point, especially for somebody that's not already into metal. If you have a friend that's in the metal and they, for some reason, haven't heard of Pantera, then you can show them Vulgar Display of Power, sure. But I think Cowboys from Hell, for me personally, was a great gateway into Pantera's discography. It wasn't too harsh, because if you jump right into metal and you jump right into the harsh stuff, it's going to turn you off. It's just how it is. It's kind of like drinking an IPA. I feel like the hard stuff for metal is an acquired taste. And to some people, Pantera is not even that hard, but anyway. So, and also classic tracks like Domination, the self-titled Cowboys from Hell. I really love The Art of Shredding, Shattered, and some of Dimebag's riffs on this album are so groovy and so catchy, especially on The Art of Shredding, and that's also a good song choice to kind of display that Phil is using his harsh voice, but then he can just belt out one of those high-pitched notes and hold it for a long time, in the chorus. So I think Cowboys from Hell isn't a perfect album, but it's a album that can get you into their discography, and maybe even some other bands, maybe like Sepultura, or with the harsher vocals, the deeper vocals. So I really enjoy that album, and I listen to it all the time. But we're just gonna get the elephant in the room done and over with. We're gonna go and just throw Vulgar Display of Power in the S tier, and I don't really think it needs much explanation as to why I think that's an S tier album. I mean, it's one of the metal albums, if you're talking about albums that broke barriers, albums that hit the mainstream, albums that everybody knows. It's just every song on this album is fantastic, and it gave us, I think Pantera's most recognizable song is Walk. That just the riff, if somebody had said that they don't know who Pantera is, and you just played them the riff from Walk, I guarantee they've probably heard it somewhere, right? They've probably heard it on the radio, in a TV show somewhere, It's a major song. And one of my favorite riffs of all time is on Mouth for War. Mouth for War, I think, is a really underrated Pantera song that people don't really talk about a lot. This Love, Hollow, Regular People is a great one. A Fucking Hostile. I mean, every single song on this album is fantastic. And if we're looking at metal as a staircase, the first step would probably be the Black Album, we'll say, by Metallica. And then the next step would be Rust in Peace by Megadeth. And then the next step would probably be Vulgar Display of Power or Cowboys from Hell. But Vulgar Display of Power is just a perfect album. And I think most people in the metal community would agree. It's fantastic. And this was the album that really got me into metal. Not just Metallica, not just like thinking of metal as just one genre. This got me into the whole thing. This got me into knowing the subgenres and all the different bands and how different metal can be. This one really broke up barriers for me. And I don't think I need to say anything else. I think that's a perfectly well summarized feeling on Vulgar Display of Power. I don't think I've ever met somebody that said that they did not like Vulgar Display of Power. Let me know what you think about it in the comments, though. I mean, everyone's got different opinions. So, those two albums I probably had the most to say about. This is Reinventing the Steel. This isn't Goddamn Electric. I'm a silly guy for that. Alright. Anyway, we are going to move on to Far Beyond Driven. I'm pulling up the track list on my phone because sometimes I forget. So, Far Beyond Driven, I'm also going to put in the A tier because this album. It's funny to talk about Pantera because their albums are also similar but also different. If we're talking about the heaviness of Pantera, this album took the next step, and I feel like every album from Pantera takes the next step because I think they recognized their role in the metal scene at the time. And I remember watching an interview with, it might have been Rex Brown, and the reason why they took the next step from Cowboys to Vulgar Display of Power was because Metallica came out with the Black Album, and they were like, we can capitalize on Metallica slowing down in us picking up, right? So, I think they kept that same mentality with all of their albums, because Far Beyond Driven is just a nightmare, and I mean that in the best way possible. Like, it is hard, it is heavy, it is dark, it has classics on it. Becoming, 5 Minutes Alone, I'm Broken. I mean, those are all greatest hits, and those are all, like, just heavy, you know? And Phil Anselmo is almost taking more of a death metal. I don't want to say death metal, because it's definitely not, but if we're looking at his vocals on a spectrum, he is getting heavier and heavier. And this album, they've completely left their glam metal roots behind. Who is Diamond Darrell? I don't know him. But I gave Cowboys from Hell an A because it's a good gateway into Pantera. And I think once you listen to that album, you will get to Far Beyond Driven. And you will be like, holy shit, this is heavy, and I fucking love it, instead of being like, this is too heavy for me. But I do think that if you don't take the steps, if you're a new listener to metal and Pantera, you can't just jump right into this album. And I think that's why I'm giving it an A instead of an S. And also the track list isn't as great as Vulgar Display of Power, but that's hard to beat. I think it's an acquired taste, and I think you need to get there. You need to start somewhere to get there. But once you get there, you can fully appreciate the album, right? Plus, the album cover is just phenomenal. I think it's so awesome. So, I think it's a classic album. All three of these albums are classic albums, and these albums, I believe, were made before the band really started to fall apart. And I think that's evident in the next two albums. So, the Great Southern Trendkill. Now, I'm going to be completely honest. I do not... these first three albums I'm very familiar with, but the next two, I'm kind of... I don't know. I know the albums, but I'm not huge on either of them. So, the Great Southern Trendkill, I'm probably going to put in the B tier because I don't think it's a bad album by any means. I don't think Pantera has a bad album. I just, this one doesn't captivate me as much. They have the same kind of style as Far Beyond Driven, right? Like they're not going backwards, and they still have that heavy sound, but it doesn't feel like they've really invented anything. They haven't reinvented themselves. They haven't pushed the boundary. From Cowboys from Hell, they pushed the boundary. Vulgar Display of Power, they pushed the boundary. And Far Beyond Driven, they pushed the boundary. But it feels like they've gotten complacent with the Great Southern Trendkill. They found the formula that they like, and they're going to use it. Which, if you like that formula, that's great. But it doesn't get me as interested as the first three albums. It's still a good album. I mean, my favorite song on that is probably Drag the Waters. That's a pretty catchy, groovy, hard-hitting song. But, I mean, I can't say I would sit here and, like, want to listen to this album all the way through just for fun, you know what I mean? I wouldn't skip a song if it came on, but I also wouldn't intentionally put it on, you know? But I also believe that around this time, this is when the band really started to fall apart a little bit. For those of you that don't know, Phil Anselmo was pretty much butting heads with the rest of the band, and his drug problem was really, really bad. Opioids, no surprise. Not that the other guys were perfect either. I'm pretty sure Dimebag was an alcoholic, but... And I pretty much feel the same way about Goddamn Electric. I mean, Revolution is my name, and Goddamn Electric... Oh, I keep saying Goddamn... I get that confused all the time. I say Goddamn Electric, and I get that mixed up with Reinventing the Steel. First of all, Reinventing the Steel is a sick name. But, the only two songs that I really know off of this album are Goddamn Electric and Revolution is My Name. And while those songs are great, I enjoy them. It again doesn't quite capture the same essence that the first three albums did. And for that reason, I'm putting it in the B tier. But, I mean, I think this is a pretty benign tier list. It would be a bit more intense if I rated all these albums, and who knows, maybe one day I'll go back and I'll listen through all the those too. But for right now, this is what I got. I think most people would probably agree with this. I think they would probably, the only disagreement we'll get is where to put the last two albums. But all the albums are good. I recommend giving them all a listen. But obviously Vulgar Display of Power is like the album. So let me know what you guys think. Please like the video. It does a lot. Please comment on the video and please subscribe. We're almost up to 100 subscribers, which is